Good afternoon, everyone. I am Pallav and I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I did not start this company with the intention of making a company but to make pocket money. So what I'm going to do is spend a couple of minutes telling you about how I started, what Fusion Charts is, and then tell you some things that we did, some of which in hindsight worked out perfectly well for us, and most of which did not. At any point in time, feel free to interrupt me and I'll be glad to answer your questions. If not, we already have Q&A at the end of it. So, I'm Pallav. I run a software product company which is called Fusion Charts with offices in Bangalore and Calcutta. We've got 60 people all in all. I started this when I was 17 and I had intense need for pocket money and I didn't like to go by that. We are a totally bootstrap company, which means we have never raised any funding and we do over 5 million in revenues as of today. And as of today, we have around 20,000 customers and 450,000 users in 110 countries. So how did it all start? I was your regular 16-year-old nerd who used to enjoy good things in life like going out to coffee shops, bowling alleys, parties, but there was one small problem. All of that needed a lot of money, and at 16 you don't have a lot of money. But then being nerdy has its own advantages if you can program. And best part is when you have access to internet and you can program for somebody else. So what happened is there was this site which used to pay pretty handsome money for writing innovative articles. And that time, I used to do a lot of projects in my school on Microsoft Excel. It's ironic that I'm in Microsoft building and I'm bashing Microsoft Excel's chart, but back in 99 and 2000, Excel charts used to be very bad, very boring. And then I saw an opportunity as to how to apply web technologies, more so Flash back then, to make those charts look interactive and animated. And I wrote an article on it, posted it on ASP Today. The site is does not exist anymore. Got my $1,500 for writing the article, and that was the seed money for starting this company. And this resulted in creation of Fusion Charts. So the first version of Fusion Charts had only 6 chart types. And more often than not, or most probably, everyone in this room has worked with or used or seen Fusion Charts in one way or the other. I'll just show you how. If you've seen any of the weather.com graphs, those are powered by Fusion Charts. Any LinkedIn polls, all the charts on LinkedIn. Any Facebook charts on their polls, all the Google Docs charts, which are the animated ones. In Indian context, Rediff stock charts, money control. This was a US government site which lets you track how the taxpayers' money is being spent by the government. And the greatest achievement we had was Mr. Obama, the President of the United States, using our product as part of the US government website. Trust me, we are not that good with Photoshop, so this is a real photograph. So why am I here? 3 things primarily. Share some things we did right. Again, most things which we did right look good in hindsight. When you're starting, you don't know whether it's going to be right or wrong. So you have to take it in your own way. Share the mistakes that we did and how we went around with that. And most importantly, hang out with all of you and see what you guys are working on. So let's start with a few things we did right. If anybody would have asked me, or if I would have told you 9 years ago or 10 years ago that I'm working on a charting solution or a product that makes chart, you'd have thought I'm mad. There's Microsoft Excel, there's a bunch of other products which makes charts. Why on earth would I go and make charts? But there was one small gap which we identified, or I identified in that sense. All the charts those products made were very dull, very boring, and they just did not appeal to me, more so from the web side of things. So this was 2000, 2001, where the convergence between web and the desktop was still happening. And based on that access, I figured out that if somebody could make charts which are beautiful looking, and more so because charts form the front end of your application, there's a business case to be made. So rather than focusing on what technology or how to make that chart, I started with a simple aim to make beautiful charts. And that was the why of our business, on which the entire axis of the business is based. Even today, we have over 200 competitors, but the only thing we deliver, apart from everything in the back end, is the most beautiful looking charts. And what happened was, when I started the first version, all I knew was only 6 chart types: column, bar, line, area, pie, and donut. And I released it. At that point in time, I did not know that there could be more chart types. And today when I look at that version, I'm kind of embarrassed to see how bad those were. But in hindsight, if I would not have released that, I would not have been able to understand what customers need. Within a year of our launch, we started getting chart requests from customers, at which point in time I felt that you actually need to have a PhD to even understand those charts. There are some chart requirements which are so complex. And customers keep on telling you, build this, build that. So there's an adage saying that customers do not know what they want. But I believe in the fact that if you give them something which is a minimum viable product, which solves one pain point, the customers can visualize this in their own context and then tell you improvements over that. They might not be able to tell you radically different ideas, but within their context, if you give them something small to use, they will be able to implement it and tell you a lot more things to be built on top of that. And this is one of my favorite lines. When you're releasing your first version of products, it's okay to suck. Everybody does initially. When you're delivering a product, the product is just a small part of the equation, and we realized it early on. There are three layers the way I look at from a product perspective. There's product, then there's packaging, and then there's distribution. So the product part of it is only 1/3 of your story. What you have to also focus on is the other 66%. How are you going to package it and how are you going to distribute it? And at each point or at each of those aspects, how can you surprise the customers? In our case, we had a product which rendered beautiful charts, but that is the user of the product. The buyer of the product could be different guys. So in our case, the user is a developer, the buyer is a business guy. So if I'm satisfying the buyer, how can I satisfy the user, which is a developer? By making it easy to use, giving him easy APIs, giving documentation which is world class, where he does not have to make so much of effort to go through it, to understand things, and giving him real life examples. So if he's looking to implement our charts in a financial application, we give him a ready financial example, which he can just modify and start implementing it. A call center dashboard, sales dashboard, all of that. So customers, in our case developers, started feeling happy that we were reducing their task. As and when we moved to new versions, we realized that our pricing was actually working against us. So the first version of the product, we priced it based on the fact that the minimum which a payment gateway would allow me to charge is $15. So I said $15 it is. And the higher version of that with source code was priced at $35. Now two things happened. When I tell a customer, think of a Fortune 500 customer, hey, this is $15 and $35. There's a big doubt in his mind. Is this guy really kidding? Is he serious? He would not trust you. Number two, when you go to a reseller and say, hey, I've got a product for $35, what do you want to sell it? The reseller says, what percentage of commission are you going to give me? I said 30%. How much is that? $12. His cost of cutting a PO is more than $25 and he's getting $12 to sell my product. So eventually, as and when we moved, we experimented a lot with our pricing. And experimentation in our case was always an increase, never a decrease, and which has worked out pretty well. If you price your products higher, you deliver the product plus packaging plus distribution right, the perception of your product is a good one. There are a lot of big companies who have a lot of money out there who are willing to give it to you, not for your software, but for the reassurance that your software is going to work. And it's if you do not want that money, you can give it to me, but it's very easy to take that money. Don't undercharge for your software. Constantly try and evolve new pricing and licensing models, which we did, and add on top of that subscription and maintenance and a bunch of other options, which help you charge more money out to your customers. In terms of distribution, or in terms of competition, this is something I have always believed in. When you're sitting behind your machine on the internet, nobody knows you're small. You can project an image as large as you want professionally, or you can project an image of a single man company working on something important. It's a question of what you want to do. So when we started out, we projected as if we are a large company. And today we project we are a small company. It's a change in paradigm, even though we are 60 people. The fact is, today, 5 of the biggest companies in the world, Microsoft, Adobe, Yahoo, Google, and IBM, offer free products which are competing our products. And still we have grown year upon year, every single year, because of the fact that it's a niche market. And when big companies come into your arena, they do not have so much focus because it's probably a couple of $100 million market altogether. Whereas you being a small company, a startup, you can have intense focus and beat them in their own game. Now, moving on to the mistakes. So when I was starting out, I was in high school, and I had done some programming which helped me make some money. but I had absolutely no idea about branding, distribution, what is marketing. So there was a time when we had to decide a tagline for our product. And since it was a charting product, I thought this is the perfect tagline for it. The extensive, because it has all of 6 chart types, real time, because it could connect to your databases, animated, because the chart was animated, graphing solution, because it was a graphing component. A funny thing happened. So I was trying to submit my product to multiple directories for advertisement. Back then we used to have a lot of these online directories for listing of components and products. In one directory, they would not let me push a tagline of more than 45 characters. And my tagline here is 49 characters. And I thought, is something wrong with my tagline? And I started researching how other companies did it. So look at Nike. Nike said, just do it. McDonald's said, I'm loving it. And I thought, just love doing it. But for obvious reasons, I could not use this tagline. So eventually we realized that a tagline is not the sum of your product. It is something which connects as a benefit for you, connects to the customer and conveys the benefit of your product in a language which the customer understands. More on the personal side, coming from a technical background, people management is hard to learn for most of us techies. How many of you face this problem right now? Here. Okay. Still most of you are pretty confident about the other part. So one of the things which I made a mistake is not delegating too much too early. I always had this fear that, hey, I've written this beautiful code. What happens if this other guy cannot write that code? Or he screws up, or he leaves a leak? What if I give my username and password and FTP passwords of the web server to my web designer or the web developer? What if he runs away? What if he screws up with that? Eventually I realized that most of these fears are just in my mind. And you will also realize that if you do not do that, you will be stuck doing the same things over and over again, whereas you should be vacationing somewhere and these guys should be working for you. So anything you hate to do, somebody loves to do it. All you have to do is find that somebody and give it to him. There will be hiccups, no doubt, when you're transitioning. And at any point in time, the process which you develop for this transition is not going to be persistent for the rest of your year or for the rest of your company. Processes evolve, transition protocols evolve, and this is a challenge which you'll face every single day or month or the time period in which you introduce new people. As and when you develop, or as and when we develop products, we figured out that a lot of our customers were asking for products which are related to this product. So say we have Fusion charts as the core component. So there's this new technology called Flex, they want Fusion charts for Flex. There's a new technology, WordPress, they want Fusion charts for WordPress. There's FileMaker, they want Fusion charts for FileMaker. And sometimes enough customers call on that, and they say, hey, we need this. And you will be delusioned into believing that there's a big market around that. If you are not sure about both the product and the distribution, I would not recommend going into that. We faced the same problem. From one product, we went to 16 products. And then we had to cut down 8 products because the distribution channel we used for those 8 products was not conducive over the web. And this is something which we realized later on, that if we focus on lesser products or lesser things to do and outsource most of the non-core things, we are much better off doing our core job. And we are actually doing it much better now. And one thing which I realized, so when we started our company, our About Us page used to be like, we are an industry-leading graphing solution. No mention of India back then, because I thought people, when they read India, they would not buy a product. This was 2002. No mention of one-man startup. I thought they would never ever come to this website if they even read that. So we are an industry-leading graphing solution, delivering charts and graphs in Adobe Flash, back then Macromedia Flash, and the typical corporate PS. And what happened was, a lot of people did not resonate with that. When I used to take sales call, people would ask me a gazillion questions about how we are, who we are, where are we based out of, which was wasting my time, which was creating this doubt in their mind. And then we, over a span of time, we realized that if we can make this process transparent and give our company a personal face, which people could resonate with, that would work out a lot better. Because at the end of the day, people are doing business with people. So what we did was, on our website, every employee in the company is listed, and with something that you can relate with. So let's take this one. Raju speaks no less than 28,637 words a day. of which 42 are meaningful, of which not more than 13 are in context. Loves being called the bald and the beautiful, but only by people he likes, is the in-house DJ. The moment we did this, people who were interacting with our team members in the support, in the sales, we started connecting with them much better because they have read about these guys. All our guys say we are pizza and we are freaks, and people could relate to that. We started getting conversions because people could relate to us, and the sales guys were able to converse much better. And we also gave them the dope behind the scenes, because people don't want to work with a faceless company, at least when you're small. So we told them what parties we are organizing in office, what photo shoots are going on in office, is pizza coming in office, even smaller details, and people could relate to it. And oftentimes we have to work hard. This is a real photograph of one of our releases, where people had to sleep on desks and benches because we did not have enough beanbags in our office. So the point is, if you're working hard, you should party hard as well. Thank you.